Call the meeting to order. It's the regular board meeting of the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority for December 16th, 2022. We did meet in executive session. There were no votes taken. We did get a couple of updates on projects and initiatives for the authority. Then we do the roll call.
Sure. Ms. McCormick Barron.
Here.
Ms. Costello.
Here.
Mr. Domock.
Here.
Ms. Lever.
Here.
Dr. Morrell.
Here.
Mr. Schuley.
Here.
Ms. Strasburg.
Here.
All board members are present.
Great. Thanks for everybody coming today on a rainy December morning. Do you have any speakers for public comment though?
Yes, we do. The first speaker will be Mr. John Meehan.
Mr. Bingham, you have 3 minutes. Mr. Bingham?
Yeah. Mr. Meehan, you're muted right now. Can you unmute your phone? We'll come back to him. We want to go to Mr. Redkowski. He's also muted. Star 6. For the public commenters, can you please hit star 6 on your phone? Okay, Mr.
Hello?
Redkowski muted himself. Thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead. You have 3
Hello?
minutes to speak.
This is Mr. Rakowski. Is that who you're asking for?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, and thank you for your time. My name is Herb Rakowski, and my wife and I have resided at 2444 Craftmont Avenue in the Oakwood neighborhood of Pittsburgh for the past 27 years. I asked to speak to you this morning regarding 2 issues. One has been an ongoing battle for well over 5 years, and the other for over 5 months. Neither of these need to be a battle and should be easily resolved. I'll start with the more recent one first. Apparently, around June or July of this year, PWSA changed something regarding their billing. Absolutely nothing has changed on our end. For whatever reason, our sewage account number was changed by PWSA, and you have been unable to process our zip check automatic payment since July of this year. My wife and I have literally spent hours of our time dealing with PWSA customer service. Amongst others, we have spoken with Tanya, Ruth, Camelia, Janice, Jeremy, and most recently, Rebecca. Every phone call is pretty much the same. A considerable amount of time is spent on hold while waiting to finally speak to somebody. And when we do, each call is pretty much the same. We have to go through the whole issue, and they have to review our account. It always ends the same. Your representatives assure us the problem is being taken care of and the payment processed. They always say they will call us back to let us know for sure. That never happens. One of your agents, Camelia, went as far to say, call back in 2 to 4 weeks because she cannot snap her fingers and make things happen. The only follow-up response we received from PWSA are threatening letters. We have done everything asked by PWSA. We even went to our bank to assure there was nothing on our end. The bank gave us a letter with the account number and routing number, which we forwarded to PWSA. We also attempted to make the payment online and received a confirmation of that payment. However, the following bill still shows no credit. My most recent 53-minute phone call was last week with Rebecca. She assured me this was being addressed and would call me back. 4 days passed, and the only thing we received were 2 more threatening letters. I attempted to call her at the extension she provided, only to find it was not in service. She finally did call me back, and she said she was still looking into the issue. That was on Monday of this week, and we still have heard nothing. We even considered bringing cash to PWSA to make the payment. However, that is impossible because your offices are still not open to the public. We are not disputing the bill, even though we are getting harder and harder to interpret as this drags on. We are disputing the late fees that are being assessed, as this clearly is a PWSA problem to resolve, and we will not accept any penalty. We are hopeful that by bringing this to your attention, you will direct the appropriate person within your organization to immediately resolve this issue. The second issue has been ongoing for over 5 years, and I have addressed the board, prior boards with this issue. What started out as a simple repair for a few loose bricks on a catch basin in front of my property evolved into steel plates, wood barriers, caution tape being placed in front of my property. I even cut my tire on the corner of the steel plate, which PWSA still has not reimbursed me for this expense. After several years, PWSA finally decided to replace the catch basin. This was performed on a bitter cold day in November. Contractor hired by PWSA temporarily poured a thin layer of concrete on my sidewalk, which began deteriorating almost immediately because of the poor weather conditions. They also did not replace the cobblestone street and only filled the hole with concrete. Both of these are unsightly and dangerous, as both become very slippery when wet. Multiple calls to PWSA to have the permanent repair made go unanswered. I request Executive Director Will Pickering contact me so I can provide him with the details or answer any questions. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to a timely resolution of both of these issues. My contact information is on file with PWSA. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I'll ask staff and others to look into your claim. Thank you.
Mr. Meehan, can you unmute your phone, please? Might have to come back to Mr. Meehan.
Okay, all right. Next on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes of November 18th, 2022. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Audrey Brown.
Thank you, Audrey. Is there a second?
Second, BJ.
BJ, any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes of November 18th, 2022, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we'll move to reports and updates. First is the Finance Department. Mr. Barca.
Board of PWSA Board of Directors. Included in your board packet is the finance report through November 30th, 2022. Within the report, you will see that year-to-date receipts are up 4.7%, or approximately $8 million. This is led by water collections, which are up 3.7%, or $4 million approximately. Compared to this point in the prior year, direct operating receipts are up 3.9%, or approximately $4.3 million. And debt services up 10.3%, or approximately $6.6 million. These increases are a result of growth in the organization and were budgeted for in the 2022 operating budget. PWSA's cash balance continues to remain near an all-time high, with the Finance Department forecasting a $3.6 million cash basis year-end surplus for 2022. You may note that this surplus is lower than in prior financial reports. The reason for that is that this report reflects PWSA's plan to utilize a portion of the higher than anticipated surplus to pay for costs in full that were originally planned to be financed with short-term debt, such as vehicle costs. This cost-saving strategy is one example of how PWSA continues to be fiscally responsible for ratepayer dollars. In addition, I'm happy to announce that today I will be presenting the resolution asking PWSA board approval for the 2023 operating budget. The approximate $292 million budget includes increased staffing levels, adequate funding for all regulatory requirements, information technology upgrades, and infrastructure repairs and improvements. It is at this time that I will turn it back over to the board and answer any questions they may have. Thank you.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Barca? Thank you, Ed.
Great, thank you.
Engineering Department, Mr. King.
Good morning, Chair Shuley and members of our board. Today, I want to provide the board with a little bit of a different report. This will be the 2022 year in review for engineering and construction. I'll begin with first discussing our drinking water program, and our 2022 saw a significant uptick in our water reliability plan progress. So I'll start off with saying that the Highland 2 Reservoir Liner and Cover Replacement Project is nearly complete. With the replacement of 1.475 million square feet of liner and flexible floating cover for the 125 million gallon drinking water reservoir. This will provide our customers with a 25-year useful life of a renewed reservoir. This will be completed in the coming weeks. The Rising Main 3 rehabilitation and replacement project was successfully completed in 2022, renewing that pipeline for a minimum useful life of 50 years, we anticipate. We have commenced work on Highland Reservoir Pump Station Supply and Rising Main project in 22 and will continue into 2023. And we'll still soon be going out for bid for the Highland Reservoir Pump Station, another water reliability plan related project. Designs continue on the balance of the WRP projects throughout 2022, including our Asmal and Brecken Pump Station rehabilitations, as well as the Clearwell bypass. All of this work to be completed in advance of taking our Clearwell out of service to allow us to replace it. Next, I'll discuss our lead program. 2022 was a productive year for the PWSA lead service line replacement program, with activity occurring across a number of projects, our small diameter water main replacement contracts, water relay contracts, and other water main replacement contracts, as well as LSLR specific contracts, and the efforts of our operations staff responding to emergencies for service line replacements. A significant milestone was reached yesterday where we replaced our 1,000th public lead service line in 2022, along with 894 private lead service lines. During 2022, we did verifications of nearly 2,500 customer locations for lead service lines. Our PWSA has executed and completed the 2022 priority lead service line replacement project in its entirety this year. This project was funded through a combination of $4.75 million of grants and loans from Penvest. We did a one-off targeting of LSLRs for daycare facilities and locations where there was an exceedance of lead in drinking water in 2018. All of these are now complete. We exceeded the original plans, which was to replace 249 and 206 public and private lead service lines, and achieved a 268 and 301 public and private service line replacement. So definitely higher success. The neighborhood lead service line program, which started in April of 22, will continue into 2023. It was funded with $17 million of the American Rescue Plan Act funds provided by the city of Pittsburgh. To date, we have completed replacement of nearly 1,000 locations in 5 neighborhoods. Next, the small diameter water main replacement program. For the overall small diameter water main contracts, which includes our BRT 5th and Forbes project, PWSA has replaced over 5.5 miles of water main throughout the city of Pittsburgh, as well as 58 hydrants and 351 valves. Looking forward into 2023, we will also be active for the small diameter water main and lead service line replacement programs. We do have 3 small diameter water main contracts in the works with over 10 miles of water main to be replaced. 1,900 service connections will be also addressed under these projects. We can thank Penvest for the recent announcement of the $77 million loan and $6 million grant that will address these projects. Work will continue on the 2022 neighborhood LSLR, and PWSA will be submitting another funding application for Penvest for a 2023 neighborhood LSLR program, which we will hear back from the state in January. Overall, we're planning to do work at about 4,000 customer locations for the replacement of lead service lines in the coming year. And then as far as our corrosion control treatment, 2022 also saw continued progress with our corrosion control. Earlier in the year, we completed our January to June LCLR replacement, or LCR compliance sampling. Can't get LCLR out of my head. With a 90th percentile of 4.4 parts per billion. That was a dramatic improvement. Well below the action level of 15 parts per billion. Our June to December event is nearly complete, with the results to be announced by PADP in about 1 month. The results to date are significant and also very positive for the authority. During the latest event, we successfully conducted our sampling that will be required as part of the lead and copper rule revisions in 2024. So we've already met those and tested those requirements, and we've seen how the results will compare to the future standards. And again, we're seeing promising and positive results. Looking forward, we anticipate conducting this sampling in January to June of 2023, and then submitting an application for water quality parameters to our PADP, and then shifting to an annual sampling event from there on. Next week, we are submitting our 2022 supplemental materials evaluation, our lead service line inventory to PADP. After this submittal and the January to June 2023 compliance sampling events are completed, we can be relieved that the 2017 consent order and agreement with the PADP with regards to lead in drinking water will be complete. So positive. Sewer programs, I'll get into a brief review. Under the 2022 small diameter sewer rehabilitation program, PWSA has completed an installation of 36 manholes and rehabilitated over 19 miles of pipe in 2022. To date, 206 catch basins and inlets were replaced under our catch basin contract. And 3 sites have been completed under the large diameter sewer rehabilitation program at over 1,500 linear feet within 2022. For our stormwater programs in 2022, 6 more stormwater infrastructure projects have been completed in 5 of the city neighborhoods, including Shadyside, Squirrel Hill, South Oakland, Carrick, and Point Breeze North. These projects are addressing excess stormwater, including neighboring flood, basement sewage backups, and diminished water quality in Sawmill Run. This brings the total number of projects throughout the city to 18 in recent years. These 6 projects that we completed in 2022 include the Maryland Avenue project in Shadyside, as well as Woodland Road project on the Chatham campus, the Whiteman Park Phase 2 in Squirrel Hill, the Volunteers Field in Carrick, the Lawn and Ophelia Parklet renovations in South Oakland, and the Thomas and McPherson project in Point Breeze. This concludes my summary. Does the board have any questions for me?
Questions or comments for Mr. King?
I have a brief comment. I just wanted to thank members of the staff and leadership at PWSA for taking me and some others on a tour of some of these stormwater sites. As the chair of the stormwater subcommittee on the board, it was really helpful not only to understand the projects that are a little closer to home for me, like the Woodland Road or the Maryland Avenue project, but also some of the others like Lawn and Ophelia, to see the different types of projects, to understand their effectiveness and to understand what really went into them. I know that we're continuing to work on projects all throughout the service area and throughout the city, but really wanted to take the time to say thank you to the staff and leadership for showing some of us on the board around and understanding these sites a bit more. And I'm very enthusiastic about the ones, of course, that are in the council district that I represent, because since they've been installed, the number of concerns that we've received, the emails and phone calls that we've received from concerned residents about flooding basements and about major stormwater issues after big rain events has dropped tremendously. So I know that they're effective. And they look beautiful as well. So looking forward to seeing more projects like these throughout the service area.
Thank you, Erica. Mike, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Chair. Congrats on the continued annihilation of lead service lines. Just reiterate an idea that came up earlier, that there's thousands and thousands of them that have been done, but there's a multiplier effect where it could be a residence with one person, 10, or. So just, the idea is just think about that. That might help to further engage the public on the importance of it. Second, American Water Works Association and a couple other organizations have asked for a 2-year sort of pause in requiring onshore sourcing of materials in order to receive infrastructure funds to benefit from that program. So it just has me thinking, and sort of putting aside access to those funds or not, what is sort of roughly our positioning in vulnerability, say if we had to go increasingly to American sourced things, particularly maybe chemicals for the water treatment plant. Just what is sort of our mix at the moment between onshore and offshore sourcing?
Yeah, we do fall within the compliance and we do adhere to the requirements for America First for a lot of our products, whether it's the steel or the chemicals. I don't know specifically what the current mix. I think a majority we can say is compliant, falling within the requirements for the United States. And it'll be a cost factor, I'm sure, that we'll have to absorb going forward, but it is something we'll definitely be continuing to look at.
Oh, that's good. This might be speculation, but would smaller utilities be a little more exposed on this than utilities that can maybe deal with larger quantities of things and larger contracts?
I would think that's going to be the case, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Barry, was a impressive list of everything that's been done by the staff and our contractors and vendors in 2022. And also it's impressive that our numbers are so good in terms of lead, and the monitoring levels that we're at now are probably as low as we've ever been in terms of lead in our system. But I think I wanted to raise one other point that Audrey brought up earlier in executive session, that PWSA does so much in the community. I mean, all the jobs and vendors and contractors and suppliers and so forth, a lot of that money is being pumped back into the economy. So the ratepayers' money is obviously used to pay for the services of clean water and sewer. But by the same token, we are a fairly large economic engine for jobs and other compensation in the area. So, and your list kind of, brings that to the point in terms of how many people are actually involved, and people, all of our consultants and contractors and vendors and suppliers and so forth. So congratulations to you and the staff for a wonderful year. Did we give any special prizes to the 1,000th customer, that
I'll have to get back to you.
yeah, all right, okay, very good. Any other comments, questions for Barry? All right, we'll move to the Chief Environmental Compliance and Ethics Officer report.
How we do that, Mr. Meehan is.
All right, okay, hang on there, Frank. Mr. Meehan, please. You're on. Mr.
Hey,
Meehan.
good morning. I hope you can hear me.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks so much for allowing me to speak. Briefly share my experience replacing our home's lead line and request that the board consider two things. First, making it known to homeowners that sewer line collapse can occur when replacing a lead line. This hasn't been shown up on the website or anything, and that's been my experience. Secondly, please send help. So my wife and I have saved up to replace our lead line, as the effect on a growing brain is profoundly damaging. We want to provide a safe and a habitable home for our 4-year-old son, Jack, and his 2-year-old sister, Caroline. Our sewer line was inspected prior to purchasing the house. We were made aware of the need to replace a lead line following closing after 2016, when all the issues in the area became widely known. A couple weeks back, we had our yard excavated up to the curb. Plumber worked to replace our portion of that line. PWSA then came out, excavated beyond the curb into the street, completed their end of the work on the 6th of this month. It was later discovered that our terracotta sewer line had collapsed at a point beyond the curb. This was confirmed by a field crew, PWSA's. They reported to me the collapse was fresh and it was also a ticking time bomb. Field crew shared that this occurs with some regularity and would be rectified. They were then sent out later in the afternoon to identify the depth where their camera was. Surprisingly to me, this resulted in a phone call from a supervisor to let me know that PWSA takes no responsibility for the sewer collapse and will provide no further support. And as for clarification, how that lead line or how the sewer line could have been operational prior to PWSA's work, yet broken where their digging had taken place. Again, the collapse was marked by PWSA in green ink above the street where they had dug. The response I received was simply to blame the private side excavation crew. My request for a copy of the work order PWSA had performed was denied, caused confusion on my end. It's exceedingly difficult to find a crew that's able and available to dig the street. I was advised not to flush toilet paper down the toilet until the sewer is repaired. Someday, I'm sure I'll look back at this time and laugh, but for now, it's humiliating and extremely frustrating. Please send help. For now, I'll continue to try and fix the issue myself, go through the proper reimbursement channel. However, if the board is able to override that supervisor's decision, I know that I and my family would be very, very grateful. Thanks again for your time. This is John Meehan, 421 Stratton Lane, 15206. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mann, for your comments. Again, we'll have the staff take a look at your concerns. Let's move to the report of the Chief Environmental Compliance and Ethics Officer, Mr. Sideri.
Right. Good morning, everyone. Similar to Barry, wanted to provide you a little update here as we close out 2022 and reflect on some of the environmental compliance and ethics efforts that we've taken this year. I thought a good way to do this is the federal government has guidelines, which include 7 elements that they've identified as effective indicators of a compliance and ethics program. So I'll use those 7 elements that they've outlined to kind of outline how our program has addressed things. So 1 is standards of conduct, policies, and procedures. We currently have in place code of conduct, code of ethics, our whistleblower policy, non-retaliation policy, and other supporting policies to them. All of our policies and procedures are available to staff electronically, as well as hard copies for those that have day-to-day access to computers. And currently, we're completing our annual review of those policies, and starting in January, we'll go through our annual acknowledgement with all of our staff, so that everybody's aware of those and acknowledge those policies and procedures that we have. Number 2 is the compliance officers and committees. So I appreciate the opportunity to serve PWSA as the Chief Environmental Compliance and Ethics Officer, providing operational responsibility for a program. In doing so, I report directly to our CEO, providing autonomy for the program and also authority over the environmental compliance and ethics efforts of the authority. The board is also, as you're aware, has a subcommittee, environmental compliance and ethics subcommittee, which I communicate directly with and am able to provide updates and interact month to month, week to week basis, compliance and ethics matters. Number 3 is communication and education. Pretty important piece of our program to make sure everybody's aware of what's going on. And we've created several ongoing training approaches for this. So 1 is our organizational wide training that we have, utilizing the learning management system, which was implemented this year. We have small group in-person training on compliance and safety, whatever the matter may be for specific groups of staff. And we also have regularly scheduled tailgate sessions on safety and compliance with our field staff. In addition, as you're aware, I'm stationed at the water treatment plant and available to staff both in person as well as electronically to help make sure we maintain those open lines of communications with all of our staff. Number 4 is internal monitoring and auditing. I talked to you last month about that. PWSA has been conducting multiple audits and assessments throughout the year to help evaluate the effectiveness of all of our programs. The purpose, again, of these audits and assessments is to help us detect any non-compliant activities at an early stage before they might have an impact on our water quality or compliance matters or regulations. And that also then helps us advance and improve our compliance and ethics programs. Number 5 is reporting and investigating. PWSA employees, as well as our contractors, are not only encouraged to raise concerns regarding environmental compliance and ethics issues, but they're actually required to do so. Our code of ethics includes requirements that we all shall report or are obligated to report suspected or known concerns. We've implemented our whistleblower program this year that allows individuals to make anonymous reports through a third-party provider. And we want to assure everybody that all reports are taken seriously. I investigate them or delegate them to the department that might be needed to follow up, HR, security, safety, and then provide follow-up to the reporters themselves. Number 6 is enforcement and discipline. Our code of conduct does include sanctions for anyone who violates or fails to report any violation in the code of conduct, the code of ethics, our laws, regulations, etc. We also maintain a discipline policy which outlines all of our procedures to make sure that we have consistent and fair enforcement of discipline if it's needed. And finally, the 7th element is response and prevention. We endeavor to help resolve any identified problems promptly and develop and implement corrective actions as needed to help prevent reoccurrence. Some examples of things we've been doing in there. We've implemented a root cause analysis process using the 5 whys process for incident investigations of the plant, such as a spill release or something like that. We have been tracking all of the findings that have come out of our assessments and audits, making sure that they're being followed up on. The appropriate parties are responsible in implementing those. And finally, we've been implementing an environmental management information systems this year. So this is going to be a cloud-based electronic platform. And in part, one of the functions of that is to help us have electronic accounting for needed corrective actions in the follow-up. So going forward in 2023, we're going to continue to implement these 7 elements and make sure they're upheld. As we've said before, we're continuing to expand the program beyond the water production facilities out into all of PWSA's facilities, and we'll be continuing that work in the year. So as I always end, just want to make sure everybody's aware, board, consultants, employees, that they can contact me if they have any questions regarding environmental compliance or ethics. And happy to answer any questions here today.
Questions or comments for Mr. Saderi? Go ahead, Rosemary.
I don't know if this is the appropriate time to ask this or not, but it's fresh in my mind because we just went through this. We went through an LGBTQ+ training for our organization. Is that something that PWSA does or would consider doing, and more specialized trainings like that, like unconscious biases, etc.?
Sure. Yeah, so that's not directly in my department, it's environmental compliance and ethics, but our human resources department, who probably talk with Logan to get additional information. We have this year conducted diversity training. That non-retaliation policy that I mentioned is also our non-discrimination, non-retaliation. So it also includes some of that. But yeah, through our human resources group, there is training that's been provided on diversity.
And as a follow-up to that, like we, for example, use PERSAD, and part of what they will be doing is going through all of our policies to make sure that it aligns with the trainings, et cetera. So just taking that one step further, if that's something that you're also doing, is looking at your policies with that lens.
Sure. Yeah, I can't speak directly for our HR group who looks at the majority of policies. For the ones that were specifically environmental compliance and ethics related, so the code of conduct, the code of ethics, the whistleblower, and the non-retaliation part of that, we did review. I did have our outside legal ethics counsel look at it, and then we have an independent monitor who is also overseeing us under our administrative agreement, and they're also being asked to take a look at those policies that relate to compliance and ethics. But the comment in regards to some of the other policies, I can pass along to human resources to make sure they're.
Any other questions, comments? Well, Frank, you had an impressive year as well. Perhaps not as visible as Barry's infrastructure projects out there that we can all see. But I think on behalf of BJ and Erica, who sit in on these executive committee meetings on a monthly basis, all of the programs that you have implemented and the diligence on which your office and your staff have looked at the entire organization is a huge upgrade from what we've had in the past. So congratulations. Appreciate it. Looking forward to working with you in 2023.
Yeah, I would just add to that, that between the work that Will and Frank have done, I think you've done a great job of communicating the commitment to the workforce and the process so that hopefully everybody understands and appreciates and will avail themselves, but also understands the standards that you have implemented. So nice work.
Thank you. All right, Chief Executive Officer's report. Will?
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, members of the board, members of the public, PWSA staff. Excited to be here with you on what will be the last board meeting of 2022. Great to see some faces I haven't seen in a while. So welcome back and welcome to 1200 Penn Avenue, where the magic happens. We're happy to have you. As was evident from the reports from our various chiefs and directors, 2022 was another banner year. Alex, just to build off your remarks with what Frank and Ed and Barry have done, taking words and action plans and putting them into concrete progress is really what we've been about this last year. And I'm extremely proud of the work that our team has done. One of the areas that we don't highlight through the reports that I want to raise up is our safety department. Safety is one of our core values. Safety, we consider in a number of different perspectives. It's something that the independent monitor that we partner with is also taking a look at and calling to our attention. And I did want to flag a performance stat. Before I get into the details, please know we will have an annual report cheat sheet. We will not be quizzing the board on all of the progress that we've been sharing with you today. But in 2022, we performed more safety hours training than we ever have. In fact, there were a total of 2,500 hours of training provided across the organization. And that's actually double what we were able to achieve last year. Some of that is a product of us being more visible here in the office, more present, but also just building out our safety and security team that is based out of the water treatment plant. Some of the trainings include our safety management for leadership, which actually I participated in and found quite valuable, our OSHA construction training, first aid, CPR and AED, defensive driving, competent persons for excavations, PA one call, which is the process we use before we dig out in the street so we don't hit other utilities, and our hazardous materials training. Combined, the employees, we actually, on the first aid side, we have over 105 certified, which is about 30% of the entire organization, which I think is fantastic. I'm glad they are surrounding me and certified should anything happen to me here, but much more important for our employees out in the field. And then just building off that, a sort of innovative tactic that our safety department is using is an incentive program where we are issuing points for employees who support our safety initiatives. One of them is a stretching program early in the morning for those out in the field to make sure that they're prepared to do some of the labor. We do find sprains and strains to be sort of our most common style of injury, and that's aimed at addressing that. Participating in that program gets you points, as well as reporting things in an online system that we're using to document near misses. So these are accidents that didn't happen but could have happened, getting in front of them and learning from them to prevent accidents and improve safety. To date, employees have been rewarded over 4,500 points and we'll continue to roll that out. Those points are then used on a store where employees can get PWSA apparel and other fun things. So we're taking the carrot approach as well on safety and just making it clear that this is an organizational priority. So wanted to lift that up. Again, we'll have a lot of these achievements in our annual report. Shifting gears, I want to recognize the RISE project team. We've spoken a little bit at board meetings and certainly to the executive committee and board about the RISE project. This is our SAP Enterprise Resource Planning system that replaced our legacy financial and customer information systems. The implementation was substantial. The aim of the program was to address recommendations from our auditors, comply with our PUC requirements, manual processes are to be eliminated and have been eliminated. And we're also improving the customer experience through the customer assistance portal, allowing them to have more tools at their disposal and not have to call PWSA if they don't want to. The RISE project team officially was an 18-month-long effort, and we're in implementation, so I know there's still work to come. But the project team was comprised of 30 individuals across PWSA. And if you'll indulge me, I think it's important that we call them out due to the level of effort and commitment they've had to this project. The different departments is MIS, which is our technology department and IT department, finance, customer service, public affairs, engineering, and operations. I'll begin with customer service led by Julie Meckling, who's here in the room today. Her team, it was also supported by functional leads of Tracy Willie, Sharon Gottschalk, Crystal Thurston, and other members of her team that participated were Tishla Jones, Andy Hicks, Ken Thurston, Danette Henning, Nicole Tarver, and Natalie Benzik. The finance department, Ed Barca in the room with us, was represented by the functional leads, Rachel Romano and Nicole Dicken, and other team members were John Nagel, Justin Prokop, and Thorin Simpson. MIS was represented by our director of IT, Jason Felser, as well as our RISE project manager, Raquel Ludenich, who I really have to go out of my way to commend her dedication to this project. The board may know her as giving out the Zoom credentials before board meetings, but she was hard at work working on the RISE project for nearly 2 years. And Ryan Dappin on the MIS team as well participated. Our operations group was led by functional leads of Bill Bennett and Ruth Ann Connors on our materials storage and warehouse end of things. And then finally, our engineering and public affairs team were represented by Maura McLaughlin, Giuseppe Schuli, and Juan Irmas. And last but not least, I also have to acknowledge our chief of, I always screw up his title, information and performance, Lee Haller, who led this 30-person team, kept me posted on the salient elements of the project, making sure that the board was aware of where we were in implementation. A huge lift, a big chunk of his time this last year. So my hats are off to Lee and the rest of the staff that have participated in ways that we are finding out as we're implementing. Looking at Deb Gibson, she is a user of SAP. We are all learning, but PWSA is going to be a better organization because of it. So I really, this is one of many ways we're investing in technology to improve our compliance, but to improve the customer experience as well. We will be rolling those out in additional ways next year. So thank you for indulging me and calling attention to the amazing team that partnered with us on delivering that project on time and on budget, which is a rarity these days. There are a number of excuses we could have presented in not meeting those milestones. It was painful to get there, but we did it. So I want to congratulate the team there. And I'll just end by saying happy holidays. Thank you to our board. Thank you to our employees, our consultant partners, and anyone who works with us, and especially our customers. Hope everyone has a safe holiday, and we'll be back at it next year.
Thank you. Well, comments, questions?
I don't have a question. I do have a comment. One of my favorite things about the year end is getting the year end performance report. And I really just want to acknowledge the job that you and the staff team have done in improving our spend when it comes to minority women disadvantaged business spend. It's really important. It's a core value for us to be not only an economic driver, but an inclusive economic driver, and to sort of see that consistent performance. And knowing some of the things that are going to happen and the engagement and the outreach and the partnership that are in place, those numbers are just going to continue to be strong. And so please extend my appreciation and acknowledgement to the staff team for all the work that they're doing. It was just amazing to see those numbers and your leadership. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for your membership on the Supplier Diversity Committee, holding us accountable.
I guess I should thank myself too. No,
There you go. You earned it.
Thank you, Audrey. Any other
I'd
comments?
like to echo Audrey's comments and an overall thanks to the entire PWSA team for really remarkable results and clear drive to continue and improve on those results in the new year. So thank you for all the good work for the customers, for the public health of the community and the environment. Great job.
Thank you, Peg. Any other comments? Well, first of all, I congratulated Barry and I congratulated Frank. I'm thinking, well, Ed was up there and I didn't congratulate Ed. So I want to congratulate Ed, but I want to congratulate everybody out there, all of the departments, as Will has said. And of course, Will, you and your executive team, it's been an incredible year. So we appreciate everything that you've done. I'm sure the ratepayers appreciate what PWSA is doing And appreciate the board that has worked so diligently with staff on all of these various initiatives. And it really has shown, somebody who's been here a while and has been associated with PWSA over a long period of time. I mean, you can really see the difference. And so congratulations. Before we get to the resolutions, I did want to take a moment and comment on a friend of PWSA who passed away this past week, Dr. Stanley States. Stanley served PWSA in some capacity in the water department or PWSA for 37 years. So he was here quite a long time. He also served his country in the Army Reserves for 25 years and was the author of a number of papers and books, including a book that's used by many utilities on emergency preparedness. But I also like to pass along a sort of a personal note on Stanley. Stanley was, and I saw Stanley's family at the funeral home on Monday, and I know his wife very well. And I said, it's a loss. And, Stanley was a character. And when I became the young director of the city water department many years ago, there was probably a very bad disconnect between the people at the plant and the people in town. And I remember going out to meet Stanley for the first time. Stanley reached out his hand and he said, I'll shake your hand on the way in and I'll shake your hand on the way out. He said, because I've seen plenty of directors come and go. You'll just be one more. And I said, well, nice to meet you too, Dr. States. And that's the way our relationship started. But then something changed in that relationship, and the relationship, the thing that changed is that we went through two of the largest inland oil spills in the history of the United States in the late 80s. And our staff, the staff in town and the staff at the plant, we all worked closely with Stanley, who was the head of water quality. And in fact, a few nights we slept on cots in the treatment facility. And we made it through. We made it through the crisis. Nobody in Pittsburgh lost water. It was quite a remarkable accomplishment that was really led by Stanley. At one point, Stanley got in a boat and went up upstream on the Allegheny to determine where the spill was, because we really didn't know where the spill was and how long it was going to take to get to our intakes. And could we take a sample to try to look and see if there was a possible way of treating it? And it was a dangerous assignment, and he took it willingly. And because of his heroics, we were able to address this problem. And then later, when I was a consultant to PWSA, I did have Stanley and others help support PWSA. And it was really Stanley who was one of the first people that talked about orthophosphate for our lead. He pushed the idea, presented the research, talked about the utilities that were using it in the area. And that was the catalyst that really got Bob Weimer and others who were in the executive role to really start looking at this closely. And of course, we heard today how well the results have been from the implementation of the orthophosphate program, and of course the replacement of all the lead lines. So he was a good guy. So thank you for accommodating that. Hope that you will keep Stanley and his family in your thoughts and prayers. We'll move to resolutions. And Mr. Barca.
Resolution number 133, approve and adopt the 2023 operating budget.
Thank you. And may I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Audrey Monroe.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, 2 seconds. Any discussion?
I just wanted to, this is the point where I wanted to congratulate Ed. I figured I'd wait until we introduced the operating budget, but I just wanted to make a few points. One is the complexity of this organization in terms of the projects and the expenses and the various revenue streams that is amazingly managed by Ed and his team. I also wanted to comment on the transparency Ed and his team have done, lengthy, detailed presentations to both the finance committee and the full board, giving all of us a chance to discuss and ask questions and provide input. I actually attended both of them because it's another chance to keep absorbing the complexity of this organization. And then third is the commitment. It's hard to manage a budget like that. It's harder to manage it, always keeping the mission in mind. And it's clear that, again, Ed and Jen and the team do that. And there's a number of resolutions coming up with PennVest, and that's such a big part of what we do. And, Ed and the team have managed to develop a very solid relationship that will, in the end, save our ratepayers money and provide better service. So just kudos for all that you do and for making sure that we all look into the future in terms of where we're headed and make sure we can pay for everything that we want to do.
Thank you.
I echo that transparency that you have with us across all aspects of the budget and sort of clear transparency and responsiveness. So I just want to echo that.
Any other comments, questions? All right, all those in favor of resolution number 133, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution number 133 is approved. Resolution number 134.
Resolution number 134, acknowledging receipt of the 2022 annual report of the consulting engineer. And if I may just elaborate a little bit on this, this report is required in our legal bond indenture. It is an annual report done by a consultant, and our consulting engineer is MS Consultants. And the point of the report is to point out any successes of the organization, like our lead service line replacement program, but also areas of improvement, be it our stormwater program, water, and our wastewater program as well. So as a generalization, within the report, the successes are lead service line program and the general improvement of the organization. But as we all know, we do have a lot of work to do as well within our capital program. So that's called out generally as well within the report.
Very good. May I have a motion?
So moved. BJ?
Is there a second?
Second. Peg.
Oh, here it
Thank
comes.
you. Any discussion? Well, I just want to say that I did get a chance to read the annual report. I thought it was very well done. Congratulations to MS Consultants and Charlie Jordan, who was one of the primary authors of the report. I thought it reflected well on the authority, and I hope that the others who will have to look at this report, that look at our bond rating and other fiduciary responsibilities, will look on it favorably. But thank you very much. All right, all those in favor of resolution number 134, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 134 is approved. Resolution 135, Ed.
Resolution 135, awarding insurance contracts for fiscal year 2023. And again, if I could elaborate on this resolution here, this encompasses our auto insurance, commercial property, cyber insurance, liability insurance. There's a whole slew of coverage within this. Some pieces of this insurance is required for our bond indenture. Others are proactive measures like our cyber insurance as well. And I will say that the general insurance market is hardening, throughout just, through COVID and whatnot. But I will go back to a point Will made earlier on our training and our general improvements within our facilities. That has helped bring down our insurance costs through those proactive measures. So I did want to point out that we're doing everything we can in a hardening market to keep our costs as low as possible.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Audrey Morel.
Audrey, is there a second?
Second, Rosa Maria.
Rosemary, any discussion?
I just, one question about the cyber liability, where, what is the industry standard in terms of what that should look like? It seems like it's covering a lot, but it doesn't look like a lot of money. And so given all the things that are going on, across all industries, what is that looking like? Are you expecting that we might have to look at something different in the future?
I don't think so. So we actually increased our limits this past year for 2022 to try to get out in front of all of these cyber threats that are happening right now. So I think, in my opinion, we have a quote unquote premium policy, but a lot of, what we're doing and the reason we're able to actually obtain coverages through our multi-factor authentication and other areas that we're working on, again, to practically get in front of those threats. But really, to answer your question plainly, I think we have a very good policy that we won't need to change.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All those in favor of resolution number 135, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 135 is approved. We have a bunch of Penvest resolutions, and so maybe we'll combine some of these.
Yeah.
Depending on which ones you
Yeah.
think are more appropriate to combine.
Yep, if I can make a request, Chair, can we combine 136 and 137, and then 138 and 139, 140 and 141, and 142 and 143? So there's 4 of them, and within there's 2 resolutions each.
Okay, very good.
So first, resolution 136, authorizing securing of funding by the PWSA from the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Investment Authority in the aggregate maximum principal amount of $9,978,156. And resolution 137, approving the reimbursement resolution for the security upgrades project as part of the Penvest closing process.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion on resolutions 136 and 137?
So moved, BJ.
Is there a second?
Second, Peg.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor of resolutions 136 and 137, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolutions number 136 and 137 approved. Take the next pair, Ed.
Resolution 138, excuse me, authorizing securing of funding by the PWSA from the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Investment Authority in the aggregate maximum principal amount of $75,529,516. Resolution 139, approving the reimbursement resolution for the small diameter water main replacement non-lead project as part of the Penvest closing process.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion?
So
Motion to
moved, Audrey
approve,
Morel.
Peg.
Is there a second?
Second,
Second.
BJ.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of resolutions number 138 and 139, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolutions number 138, 139 are approved.
Resolution 140, authorizing securing of funding by the PWSA from the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Investment Authority in the aggregate maximum principal amount of $7,836,396. Resolution 141, approving the reimbursement resolution for the small diameter water main replacement lead project as part of the Penvest closing process.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved, Audrey Morel.
Audrey, is there a second?
Second, Erica Strasburger.
Any discussion? All those in favor of resolutions number 140 and 141, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolutions number 140 and 141 are approved.
Resolution 142, authorizing securing of funding by the PWSA from the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Investment Authority in the aggregate maximum principal amount of $46,054,410. And resolution 143, approving the reimbursement resolution for the catch basin replacement project as part of the Penvest closing process.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion?
So motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, Audrey Morel.
Thank you, Audrey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of resolutions number 142 and 143, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolutions number 142 and 143 are approved. All right, Ed, thanks for getting us
Thank you.
back on schedule here. Mr. King, resolution number 144.
Resolution number 144 is a request for the board's approval to award a contract under capital for the construction of the 2022 small diameter sewer rehabilitation, contract number 1 project to Jet Jack Incorporated in the amount of $2,240,675. The 2023 small diameter sewer rehab project is an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, what we call IDIQ, project for the trenchless rehabilitation of sewer mains less than 36 inches in diameter by the installation of cured in place pipeliners, CIPP, which restores the structural integrity, reduces root intrusion, and reduces the infiltration and inflow to our sewers. This contract will address infrastructure in the west end of the city. Staff recommends that the board approve this award.
Thank you, Barry. May I have a motion?
So moved, Mike Omar.
Thank you, Mike. Is there a second?
Second, Audrey Rowe.
Audrey, any discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 144, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Abstentions? Resolution number 144 is approved. Resolution 145.
Resolution number 145 is a request for the board's approval to enter into a relocation agreement with the owner of Peoples Natural Gas LLC for the relocation of Peoples 4-inch gas main on Carroll Street located in Bloomfield. This relocation is necessary to permit PWSA to relocate our existing failed 24-inch sewer under the ongoing sewers under structures contract number 1. Staff also requests that the board authorize the compensation for the relocation of People's infrastructure that is within the delegatory authority of the Chief Executive Officer. Peoples has estimated the compensation for the relocation of their infrastructure to be $37,418.11. But depending upon the ultimate length of their infrastructure relocation, it could be as high as $83,005.79 as stated in the resolution. Finally, we would ask the board to authorize the Chief Executive Officer to enter into this relocation agreement with Peoples Natural Gas on behalf of PWSA.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved, BJ.
Is there a second?
Second, Peg McCormick Barron.
Thank you, Peg. Any discussion?
I just have a question, not that I disagree with reimbursing people's gas, but is this a standard sort of thing? Is it sort of because it's falling in our responsibility as opposed to their, just give me some context as to.
In this instance, which isn't typical of all, they had recently replaced this main, but for infrastructure such as a water line, we can adjust, like we discussed with the BRT project, you can adjust your main around because the elevation isn't as critical. So we can do the adjustments and usually get around existing infrastructure that's in our way. This in particular, when it's a sewer, unless you're going to put in a pump station, you can't arbitrarily adjust the height of the sewer. It has to follow that common grade. So in this instance, their pipe is clearly conflicting with our 24-inch sewer.
Okay.
It has to be moved for us to be able to complete our restoration.
All right, thank you. That was helpful.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 145, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 145 is approved. Resolution number 146, Barry.
Resolution number 146 is a request for the board's approval of an amendment of a professional services agreement under capital for the design and engineering services for the 4 Mile Run sewer stormwater improvements to Johnson, Merriam and Thompson Incorporated in the amount of $402,101.60. As a reminder, this project is part of PWSA's ongoing efforts to address flooding and combined sewer overflows within the M29 sewer shed. This amendment addresses additional engineering services to this project to incorporate PWSA's directed changes to the project limits associated with the stormwater improvements, to incorporate the large diameter water main relocation scope of work into the stormwater project. Logic being both are large diameter piping projects and both will need to be coordinated together. And then finally, to obtain applicable permits related to the modified project scope. Staff recommends that the board approve this award.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved, BJ?
BJ, is there a second?
Second, Erica.
Thank you, Erica. Any discussion?
I'd just like to know what the 60 cents covers.
It's approximate, yes. All those in favor of resolution number 146, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution number 146 is approved. Resolution number 147, Barry. Oh, I'm sorry, number 147, BJ. Still
I
together.
have a quick question.
One second, hold on, BJ.
Sorry, I just have one quick question
Sure.
on resolution 144. I was just Googling something really quick. On the supplier diversity piece, they put VBE, that's the veterans one, right? They specifically are saying that that's how they will meet that diversity. So I've never seen that before. Is that something that is common where they select specifically veterans but leave out the women and minority piece?
So for this specific one, and maybe I should defer to another department for this, but in this instance, it's the specific subcontractor that they're looking at is veteran. That's their particular diversity designation. So it's not that they're intentionally, that's the one that they're utilizing in this instance.
Okay.
Yeah, we've seen that before.
You've seen
We
it.
have seen that before.
Okay, thank you.
No
All right.
problem.
Thank you. BJ, good morning. Resolution 147.
Resolution number 147, approval of water treatment plant chemicals, sodium hypochlorite, the option year one contract to Univar Solutions Incorporated. And this is out of the operating budget for $2,177,381.53.
Very good. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thanks, Mike. Is there a second?
Second, Audrey Morel.
Thank you, Audrey. Any discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 147, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 147 is approved. Resolution number 148, the last resolution of 2022. BJ, you get the honor.
Resolution 148, approval of water treatment chemicals option year two to Biosafe Systems, PVS Technologies, Polydyne Incorporated, Sow Chemical, Univar Solutions, and WK Meriden. And this is also out of the operating budget for $5,603,213.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Is there a second?
Second, Audrey Morel.
Thank you, Audrey. Any discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 148, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 148 is approved. Is there any other business that needs to come before the authority today?
I just want to say I was disappointed we didn't go with the ugly sweater attire for today. I was into it. I would have been there with you all.
There's always next year.
Right, right. Well, I'd say on behalf of the board, I want to wish everyone, our ratepayers, our employees, our staff, our vendors, all of our suppliers, everyone, happy holidays. It's been a very special year in many ways, and you all have made it special with the work that you've done. So I wish you all happy holidays. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you. All right, meeting is adjourned.